We move on, viewers. 3 decades ago, Kashmiri Hindus were hunted, tortured, butchered, driven out of Kashmir Valley by Islamists. Kashmiri Hindus had to leave behind their homes and homeland overnight. Justice has not been delayed but also denied in the last 32 years. It is this tragic reality and the plight of Kashmiri Hindus that has been portrayed in the film The Kashmir Files. The film has not just moved the country but has also left moviegoers teary-eyed. Let me open this up. Ashoke Pandit, Sushil Pandit, Lalit Ambardar, all joining us, and all of my 3 guests have something in common, which is they've all been at the receiving end of injustice. And let me begin by you, Mr. Sushil Pandit. We've had this conversation earlier, but tell us tonight, why is this film important?
Pranesh, thank you for having me on the show and bringing this topic up. Kashmir has been left as a festering wound. We've received a lot of lip service. We've received a lot of crocodile tears. We've also been talked about, but very little has happened on the ground. On the contrary, it is galling to see that our tormentors have become tycoons, those who should have been hung by the nearest street pole, became icons, were invited into PMO, were actually asked for their views on how to handle Kashmir. Not a single victim and survivor till date has received justice. Not even one. Not one crime has been punished till date. And we have seen all kinds of governments, all kinds of prime ministers, all kinds of coalitions and parties coming in center as well as the state. But imagine, not one prime minister, not even one, has visited the victims living in the camps, still living in the camps in Jammu, not one. We have seen an entire generation or 2 grow up without even an iota of compensation, relief, rehabilitation, nothing. We have been abandoned. We have been let down. That is the sum and substance of our fate.
Mr. Ambardar, I am coming to you, but Ashoke Pandit, as someone who's made a film on this, and I remember Sheen, released in 2003, that depicted Kashmiri Pandits who saw their neighbors, not people from outside, but their neighbors turning into perpetrators. How are you looking at this? The truth captured by Vivek Agnihotri's Kashmir Files.
Pranesh, at the outset, I would like to compliment and applaud the effort of Vivek Agnihotri, who has done a commendable job in bringing out once again the tears and the pain of Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir 32 years back and even now. As Sushilji very rightly said, the conditions are supposed to improve, but I don't know how long this effect of Kashmir Files is going to remain. You showed the visuals of my documentary in your footage now, and the world remains silent. The visuals which you showed was 32 years old back on actual refugee camps which I showed. You are saying the same thing in Kashmir Files now. Same visuals being recreated by our friend Vivek Agnihotri. What happened in 32 years? Nothing. We are there in our refugee camp as it is. As Sushil said, none of the senior leaders of any political party have visited Jakti camp, where more than 50,000 Kashmiri Hindus are loitering and abandoned in a refugee camp. The walls are falling. There are no proper facilities. There is no water. There is no education. schools, colleges, hospitals. 32 years gone, Pranesh, and we are standing on the same foot, shouting, screaming, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. This is what exactly we have been doing from 32 years. We have seen these visuals. People are shouting, people are clapping, people are applauding, people are crying. And people have been crying from last 32 years. You need a film to be shown. And I want to accuse the media for this. Forget politicians and all that Sushil is saying, and Lalit also will say. It is the same media which used to call Yasin Malik in their conclaves. They used to call Shabbir Shah Gilani on their conclaves. They were killers. They were rapists. And they were responsible for my genocide and ethnic cleansing. And you used to call them and applaud them and ask them, what are you going to do about Kashmiri Hindus and Kashmir? They were your heroes. They were not our heroes. And they remained to be your heroes. They were signatories, huge intellectual class, educated class, JNUites. They used to sign papers. They used to sign that these people are heroes. They should not be punished. They should not be arrested. Are there not big journalists, senior journalists who came on the streets that Yaqub Memon should not be hanged? Yasin Malik should not be jailed. So what are the country we are living in? What is the film going to do? We are going to suffer and we will remain to suffer the way we have been suffering from last 32 years. I don't want to take away the credit from my friend Vivek. He's done a brilliant job. People are crying, people are weeping, but at all, why till now the Government of India has not made a memorial of all those people killed, murdered in Kashmir, in Jakti camp? I, as a Kashmiri Hindu, as an Indian, demand from the present government that there should be a memorial of Kashmiri Hindus, martyrs at Jakti camp. And that should be the reminder of people, that should be the mirror of the entire genocide of Kashmiri Hindus in Jakti camp. And I also demand the Home Minister, the Defense Minister, and my lovable, my Honorable Prime Minister should visit Jakti camp and meet our people in Jakti who are suffering from 32 years.
You're absolutely right when you say that perpetrators turned into poster boys.
Kashmir. Every senior politician visits Kashmir.
And they were celebrated even by previous governments.
Sad state.
Now, Lalit Ambardar, I want you to come in and put this into context. Why has it taken 32 years and there is still no sign of justice?
Listen, I always been saying Kashmir Jihad is not just about the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus. It's about the very existence of our India. If we do not take cognizance of what India has on hand in Kashmir, we'll see dozens of terror-infested, Islamism-infested Kashmirs arising in the rest of India. You know why? Because Kashmiri Hindu genocide has been ignored. It's not just Kashmiri Hindus suffered genocidal ethnic cleansing. The worst is the denial of it. The successive governments in the state and the center have denied genocide of Kashmiri Hindus. And that is why you have this Islamism-inspired vociferousness getting encouraged, emboldened across India. You saw it in this Shaheen Bagh, and you saw it recently because of hijab gang that campaigned against in favor of their so-called right to wear Islamist symbols in the classroom. So Kashmir Jihad is a military problem, but the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus has to be tackled by the government. We demand, like it has been rightly said today, I compliment Ashoke Pandit. That was the only documented proof what Kashmiri Hindus suffered through his world remained silent. Then I also been talking about, you had this Mission Kashmir, and then you had this Roja, which introduced to the Indian audiences the menace of jihad. But no one talked about Kashmiri Hindu genocide. I remember Floating Lamp of the Shadow Valley by Rajesh Jala, our own documentary filmmaker, whose film has received so many awards in rest of the world. But India does not want to see that, because secular India does not want to even admit what Kashmiri Hindus suffered was genocide. And the film we are talking about, Kashmir Files, is based on the real testimonies of the people, the survivors of genocide. And it's true, audiovisual medium will last for some time. It's being shown in the cinema halls. It will last, the effect will last for some time. But yes, it will reach a lot many places where we, Sushil ji, Ashok ji, we have not been able to reach. All these 32 years, we have been trying to communicate with the rest of India, warning them that Kashmir Jihad is a nuisance for the nation. So what should we expect now? We demand what has been ignored by successive government for all these years.
And there's another problem. And the problem,
officially acknowledge what Kashmiri Hindus suffered was genocide, establish a tribunal and investigate not only those who were actually involved in perpetrating those crimes against humanity,
but all those who gave patronage to these people. Absolutely. Spot on. That's a great point that you've made, Mr. Ambardan. Sushil Pandit, I want to bring you in very briefly. We don't have much time here. There is now this political one-upmanship going on. Political parties and leaders of political parties are now taking to social media and they are saying, look, make the film tax-free. We will give free tickets. Is this not tokenism?
Pranesh, people are looking for detergents for their soul. They look for some redemption in this tokenism, in this hypocritical ritualism, in grabbing some strange example of having done something about this. Of course, this film needs to be tax-free. Of course, we need to raise these issues all over and bring it to the notice of rest of India. But can it be a substitute for justice? Can it be a substitute for a proper policy? Have I seen a single document on what happened in Kashmir in the 32 years ago, or what this country needs to do in Kashmir? There is no government policy, there is no proposal waiting to be implemented. Till date, the RTIs have given us this response from the government itself. So what do? Of course, such films should be made tax-free, and we'll be grateful if it is, because this is a national cause and everyone should know what happened in Kashmir, even if it is 32 years too late. Because we have festering Kashmirs all over India, as Lalitji said. We have this tragedy, God forbid, waiting to happen in different nooks and corners and clusters where Hindus are already packing up and leaving. This has to be a reminder, a wake-up call. This film has come 32 years too late, but I welcome this film for its great portrayal of the tragedy in Kashmir.
Gruesome killings, torture, intimidation, loot, plunder, what have you, Sushil Pandit, everything has been caught on camera now and narrated to the people. But will justice be done? Are you hopeful?
Me?
If this country has to survive, and if we Hindus have to stop the repeated cycles of genocide, the genocide needs to be acknowledged and punished and reversed.
Quick comment from you, Ashoke Pandit and Mr. Ambardar. We don't have much time on the show. Ashok Pandit, you go first.
We should be demanding from this government, as I said, formal acknowledgement that what Kashmiri Hindus suffered was genocide, establish a tribunal to investigate the crimes against humanity committed against Kashmiri Hindus. Plus, we need to return back to Kashmir. That can happen only after we have ensured safety and security by the central government, as also our political and economic empowerment through Panun Kashmir, Union Territory in Kashmir, and also investigate, I repeat, not only those who were involved in rape, murder and mass murder alone, also the politicians, the people who are at the helm of affairs in Srinagar and in Kashmir, including that coward Farooq Abdullah, who abandoned us on this horrible night of 19th of January 1990 and escaped. And also who was the Home Minister of India at that time, India's first Muslim Home Minister, Mufti Muhammad said, he should be also posthumously tried for what was his role. Why could army not be deployed to save Aborigine Kashmiri Hindus? That should be the agenda of the tribunal.
Okay. The last word on the show goes to Ashoke Pandit. Yes, sir.
Pranesh, I want to add two things to what Sushil ji and Lalit ji said. One, give us the status of displaced community. Set up a committee with the central government committee to look after the people who are abandoned and staying in Jakti camp. Jakti camp has to be looked after and provided with all the kinds of facilities to the displaced Kashmiri Hindu community.
Let's hope that the government is listening. Let's hope that justice is done. It's already 32 years too late. I thank all of you, Ashoke Pandit, Sushil Pandit, Lalit Ambardar, for joining us on Times Now.